Alright students, here today to talk to you about aerosols. An aerosol is a substance that is enclosed under great pressure. It's kind of like a balloon with chemicals at the top of it. Aerosols are usually your sprays. Sprays like this. Not this type of spray. This is a pump spray. I'm talking about this type of spray. The kind of spray you can push and you get pressure out of. Most aerosols are what we call flammable. We're talking about flammability in class, and so an aerosol is what you call flammable. On the backs of most labels, you'll see where it says caution, keep away from heat and things of that nature. Today's aerosol in particular we're going to look at is the great stuff. The great stuff is a flammable product, and if you look right there it says keep away from heat sources, watch around, keep it around room temperature. Because again, this is just basically like a giant balloon made out of metal. There's a lot of air pressure in here that when the air is trying to release itself, just like when you take a balloon and you squeeze the top of it, after you blow it up and it makes noise, it's releasing energy. So anytime you touch the top of some aerosol, you'll get a release of energy. So you have air down here, product up here. When you push the button, it releases as an aerosol. Great stuff is basically a gap filler. It uses the chemical called isocyanate, which basically turns into plastic once it is cured. Great stuff is an expanding foam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit of this in here in this bottle. And you students can watch it expand as we go to our next demonstration. But this is often used in household usage to help fill gaps and things of that nature. It's waterproof and very sticky and can be harmful to the skin. This isn't a children's product, so children don't use this at home without adult supervision. Most demonstrations that I do are for adult supervision and not for kids to do. This is simply for science class purposes and observations. Okay, so we're going to again go back to the topic of flammability. Flammability is when we have what we call a combustion, and a combustion is when molecular rearrangement is done, chemical reactions take place, and we have what's called an ignite or fire happen. So today we're going to look at the flammability of diesel fuel. A lot of people think that when you go to the gas station you have regular gas and you have diesel fuel. So I'm going to show you the difference between diesel fuel and pump gas. Diesel fuel is fuel for diesels. Diesel engines, because diesel engines can come in cars, they can come in trucks, and they can even come on motorcycles. A lot of people think that gas that you get from the gas station is flammable, but not all fuels are flammable. This is a diesel gas that you would get from the stool from the gas station. However, when you add fire to it, it's not necessarily flammable. That's the characteristics of diesel gas. Actually, you can use the gas to put out the fire. This is what you would not probably do with regular gasoline for cars, because those engines run a different way. In diesel engines there is no combustion in your chambers. It strictly happens in your pistons, so you just have push. So now we're going to look at the difference between this and regular gas. Okay, so right here we'll take regular car gas, and this is what we call unleaded because the lead has been taken out. And we'll add fire to that. Now, as you can see, this burns a little bit more aggressively. In children, you do not handle fire like this. I'm a scientist, and so this is a more professional. But unlike the diesel fuel, you would definitely not be able to put the fire out with the gas. It burns a little bit more aggressive. Now, our next product that we're going to take a look at is something that we're all using right now to help rid ourselves of this coronavirus. So right now a lot of people are using hand sanitizer. But a lot of people don't understand, even on the back of hand sanitizer, it says flammable, keep away from heat, and heat sources, keep at room temperature. So definitely don't want to use this. A lot of people might use it in the kitchen. Make sure you don't use it around fire because it is a flammable product. It has flammability. So let's look at the flammability of hand sanitizer. As you can see, our expanding foam is starting to cure, and again, cure is when anything dries up. Anytime you hear the word cure, that means dry. So we'll take a little hand sanitizer. And this is your typical hand sanitizer. It contains 60% alcohol, and alcohol is probably your most flammable liquid. The more evaporative a liquid is, the quicker it evaporates, the higher the ignitability it has, the more quickly it will catch fire. So the more quicker it goes into the air, usually the higher the flammability rate. And alcohol has a very high flammability rate, which is found in hand sanitizer. Remember, students, always keep aerosols away from the heat. Even when it's hot outside, these cans should be stored at room temperature because they can also trap heat inside and then burst when you push the top. So even these should be stored at room temperature. This has been our lesson for today. Tune in to our next one when we make snow ice cream.